Great Spirit.
The production value is just it's flowing.
I haven't even got the mic recording, you know that.
Oh, come, get it recording. This would be a good way to start. Because I am genuinely serious about this shamanic drumming.
Who starts a podcast like that?
Nah.
Start of a podcast with shamanic
You can
drumming.
get weird, but just not pointless.
Oh my god.
Come on, guys, join in.
No, we want some structure. We actually want to talk about something.
You gotta hook him in first.
Hook 'em in
We're
with the
hooking him in.
drum.
Right, put the drum down.
Have we started? Are we on?
We're on.
We're rolling. Hello, everybody.
Welcome to the Four Bros. Stop that. Welcome to the Four Bros podcast. You're here with Rob,
Joseph.
Joe Prakash.
And Stephen.
the boys, your boys.
We're your boys.
What?
The four
Big
boys.
boys.
I haven't been there.
our own boys, actually.
Totally unscripted, totally off the cuff. We're just rather bored in the old self-quarantine.
So, someone who actually knows why we're here should probably start the whole podcast. So, I'll start. And I'd like to just introduce you all to our latest adventure as four brothers. We've had plenty of adventures as four brothers over the years. So, maybe, how old are you?
Well,
that's what I didn't think of. Stop telling the first question.
Caught me off guard with that one, I'm not gonna lie. 23? I'll be 23.
It's a big question, that.
I'm 21.
23.
19 years of age.
17.
Where do we look? Is it?
So, my mum was our parents are very consistent with the ages out, one every 2 years.
Yeah.
So we were lucky as kids. We always had each other. Growing up, it's like having three of your best friends.
Three of your best friends that you don't even like.
Three of your best friends that you wish weren't around.
Weren't your friends? You had to be from your mum.
Three of your best friends.
As one at a time. It's just a mesh of sound.
It's true.
We call that a cacophony.
A cacophony.
It's gonna sound so bad.
No one's gonna be able to hear it.
Yeah,
Lovely,
you're not gonna be able to hear
lovely
it.
sage.
Hopefully you guys can just laugh along with us.
Yeah.
So I saged the room and made very sure to cleanse the energy before getting to space. I thought that today we could tell you all out in the world a little bit about our journey
Face the camera, bro.
and how we...
Mm-hmm.
Guys, come on. We've got to get real with this.
We're gonna real.
We're live.
Yeah, I know. No, we're not.
No, we're not live.
Okay, good.
We're not live.
Good.
We're recording.
We will
so
be live
We
soon.
can edit
Soon
stuff
we'll
out.
be
We'll be
live.
there.
So
Maybe we should
we've
go
been
live.
on
Maybe we
for-
should be just live. Maybe we should just go live. And just do it.
Should we just go live, the viewers? After this video, you'll find out if we are live or not.
Ask the viewers.
Pick
they're
it
not
up
even
next
there.
week if we're live or not.
So approximately we've been on for about 2 minutes and we've actually focused on nothing. We've managed to talk about zero.
Let's not go
Zero
live.
real
Let's
point.
just stay with as we are
For now.
for now. We
might
might
be
go live
finishing
next
live.
week.
Navigating.
soon. Once we get more.
This
than
is the
3
introduction session. So first of all, we need a theme tune.
We need the name of the podcast.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
We're in the house, boy. We're in the house.
I'm in the house. I'm in the house. Welcome to the show. The Four Brothers. The Four Bros.
We're all brothers, and there's four of us.
Oh, drop it, Four Brothers.
Brothers, and there's four of us. Four of us are
We
all.
got the sage
Brothers.
burning on the podcast. You be learning.
Okay.
Okay,
We don't want the intro to
bring
be
it
too
down,
long.
boys. Bring it
Okay,
down.
I think we nailed that intro.
That's just the intro.
That's just the intro. lads.
So how are you
Is
guys?
everyone feeling as awkward as me right now?
I'm not feeling
I'm
alright.
alright,
feeling quite good.
I think we're settling in. How are you guys finding Corona then, boys?
Oh.
No,
Right.
Terrible. Terrible.
That's good stuff.
That's a question.
I'm doing okay. Getting by, and one thing that I was struggling with the most is this feeling of feeling a bit of guilt that I am actually doing so well.
and like concerned that other people might be not doing so well, and then think that I have no empathy for them when actually I do. But
It's funny you said that, because when there were a lot of people commenting on your videos, weren't there, like, this isn't happening to you, so what gives you the right to speak on other people's whose lives are actually getting really affected? Like,
yeah, I actually did
really affected.
I actually did a video about letting go of fear, and had people like come to me and say like that I was privileged and stuff because I wasn't feeling fear and I was like in a sheltered life. And I guess like that's something that's actually been with me a lot, like growing up, and people always say that like things are better off for you, you've got money, you've got this, you've got that, but some of the most rich people I know are the most unhappy.
Yeah, it's very true.
So how can money and privilege even come into this? And then how I've learned a lot in my journey is like happiness is not based on the external environment or material things.
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
Well, I mean, there's actually a study about that, which is that, you know, once you get up to a certain amount of money, your amount of happiness actually tails off and flattens out. So you do have an increase in happiness because you're facilitating things that you can do, you know, but up to about like £70,000-80,000 earning a year, there is no exponential increase in happiness at all. And it's all based around
it must be
mindset,
subjective.
It's all like
that can't be a across the board thing. But it's funny because the movie we watched last night was all about that, wasn't it, Rob?
Peaceful
About
Warrior.
Peaceful Warrior.
Way of the
Shout
Peaceful
out
Warrior.
Peaceful Warrior.
Shout out to
Shout
the Way
out.
of the Peaceful Warrior.
Yeah,
We're all trying to.
Great film.
Very
Great
good.
book.
Great book. Even, yeah, I was going to say,
Have you read the book?
if you like the
It's a great film. And I bet it would be a great book.
Well, it is a great book. I have actually read the book, and it is actually a great book, so we're going to promote that. Way of the Peaceful Warrior. Get at it.
What was better, the book or the film?
Book. Always the book.
Yeah, I
What's
was
the
gonna
book?
say, that's what my point was going to be, is it's usually the book, isn't it?
Books are always better. Because you can,
But-
I think the reason that books are better is because your imagination is not limited by what somebody else has created. Quote that. Quote that.
Hey, well, we're rolling that one, Rob. We need that little sound effect. Big old quote coming right at you.
Whenever
You know
there's a
what
big
I mean?
old
We
word.
got a quote. Just
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
We'll do that in the post-production. We'll add it in later.
Oh, dear.
So let's go back to the start. Like, what inspired us to start this podcast,
right
and
back
how
at
did
the
we
start.
how did we get
How
how did we
far
get
back
here?
are we talking?
Like right back to conception, to the moment where we were just a mere
Oh, it's the
sperm.
moment where I was born, birthed into this world with the bubble still on, still in my little,
Yeah, he came in with the
Well,
placenta
yeah.
still around.
and basically from there it went downhill.
Whoa!
Like a wonder.
Literally downhill because Steve
That is
came
not
out
force it.
and slid across the bed
Literally
and
downhill.
fell off the end of the bed. Did you know that?
Instant drop.
That's not what I'm pretty sure Mum
Okay,
said I
okay.
just about got caught.
Got caught,
Like,
yeah, just about.
The
You
old,
fell off.
the old
You fell
midwife.
into mid-air, caught by the midwife under the arm like a classic old rugby ball.
Bro.
Okay, yeah.
Like a little
Back
greasy rugby ball.
to the podcast. Wait.
We're talking about
I'm sure they want to hear this.
how we made this podcast, weren't we? Or I guess
Why did we make it?
why we made it. Don't know. We're all just bored in quarantine, aren't we? And we've
Why
got a lot
does
of value
anyone
to
do
give. We
anything?
feel like as the four bros living up in homemade life and not going to school for most of our lives. We just feel like we've got a lot of value that we can give to our viewers, our watchers, our listeners.
Nice.
All three of you.
All three of you.
Three of them.
All of them.
Which is basically
Joe
the
Rogan
brothers.
to run for his money.
Which would be, so that's Mum, Dad, and one of our mates.
Yeah, because we only have one mate between us. And we were home educated, man, so you had to share mates. Literally, you would. I'd be mates with his mates. He'd be
Yeah.
mates. Sometimes he would actually take over my mates. My mates would like him more.
There was a
So
lot
I would
of
stop
sharing.
bringing my mates home because
Yeah, but that's understandable. you
Stop
know.
bringing my mates.
we
Girlfriend.
couldn't have sleepovers around here.
You're not ready to meet the family yet, Daryl.
I don't want you taken away from me straight away.
We're not at that stage yet.
Oh, God.
Bloody hell.
Oh yeah, but yeah.
No, I've been getting on well with imaginary Isaac.
Doesn't exist, Devon.
Devon.
Sad sometimes, but things have changed since then, right?
Mm.
All right, short introductions. Let's go around.
All right.
Come on, Rob. Who are you? What are you about? What
What am I about?
are you passionate
That's
about?
not short at all. But
Long.
I'm Rob.
We did the names at the start, didn't we?
My name's Rob, and I work as a personal trainer, and I guess really my mission relates to like peaceful warrior type stuff. Actually, trying to do good, and I don't do good always. Don't know, it's good.
Better than most. Better than most. Quite to the point. Basically, what he's trying to say is
He's a peaceful warrior, guys.
he's not perfect. He doesn't always do good. Sometimes he does bad. Sometimes.
That's me done.
That was the intention.
So
Moving.
after that in-depth description,
Moving swiftly onwards, Joseph.
Right. Currently, I'm in education. From being homeschooled, so that is a big change in my life. Just going through it, finally meeting friends, which is a good thing. My own friends.
Go on, big fish.
Yeah.
Respect for that.
big ups.
Yeah, homemade life was great. Comparing it, well, not comparing it, but the education. It's great to have both sides. I feel, especially when you're going to like college later life. The homemade life can be challenging in a lot of ways, but also so freeing for more of like your mind, kind of, and just really knowing to get a grips on who you probably are as like a human from being a baby, and just being free outside and exploring the world on your own a bit, and then kind of more school life where your mind comes into play a bit more and thinking about other people and what you look like and good impressions of what you want to be to your friends. But having that other background life really helps you understand maybe you don't have to be someone else for other people. You can just be yourself. What was the topic?
Mate, if you can learn
About
that at
myself.
the age of 17,
No, that was
you're
Yeah,
winning.
not being pressured by the people and just really being yourself, you know. Got the key right there.
It's
Yeah.
obviously hard, it's a work in progress like everything.
you speak both your age or more than your age. I don't know how the phrase goes. Wiser than your age. Yeah, yeah.
Why isn't your age?
Or
Wiser than your years.
something like that.
It's definitely wiser.
One of
than
those
your years.
things, you know what we're trying to say.
He's not tamed by numbers.
The boy
Yeah.
is free from the shackles.
Mathematics, science.
Right.
Sweet. Safe, Joe.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So my name is Jyot Prakash Singh. You might notice my name's quite different than the other lads. We were born by the same dad, but like I've been on quite the journey in the last few years. Specifically, I went from being called Tom Libby to being now Jyot Prakash, and Jyot Prakash is my spiritual name. So when you're taking on a spiritual name, this is a bit of background information. It's very much about taking on a new identity in a lot of ways and saying to yourself and everyone who you meet, I am now operating in a different way, and it's an instant kind of chance to show that to people, because they almost straight away question you, and you get a chance, and it's good little opener into conversation of, oh, why is that your name? And some people react quite offensively, which is just the way it is, you know, because we sometimes are in this life, and it's hard to understand people like me who do things that are unlikely, and a lot of people don't even think that you can change your name, but I actually have, and I got my driving license this morning. It was very exciting, my new name. And I remember that it's this wonderful way of really figuring out and finding out who is really open, and then it's a good way of testing the waters with people, because if they're really open, they'll be like chatty about it and asking questions, and if they've got some judgment there, then it comes out. And I'm all about, I'm a Kundalini yoga teacher, and as a Kundalini yoga teacher, instructor, I'm all about bringing things out of people, you know, emotions and feelings. And as I teach my classes more and more, I just end up triggering people quite a lot. And I guess I've been in a process of learning how to be okay with that, because we have this like chance then in relationship, and I work a lot. I'm also a coach. To do, like, I call it joy coaching, just kind of guiding people back to finding their sense of joy. And I teach guitar as well, and I do various other things. Yeah, the ball roll. These guys are rushing along.
Gash taking over the mic.
No, you control.
All right.
Oh no, you can crack on.
These boys keep me very grounded, very on the earth.
Say that for your own podcast, lad.
Yeah,
Joe
so
Prakash show, not the ball.
I also. Let me just go through the list. I also run a
Okay, let's
business
not go
centre.
through the.
You're making me feel like I'm not doing enough.
And I set up a theatre company a couple of years
Okay,
back.
good. Moving swiftly on. He does a lot of stuff. We all do. We're not going to sit here and list it all. But, you know,
You'll do
we all do stuff as well. Don't worry.
It's
not
a
just
blessing and a curse. I get.
Alrighty.
Jackal.
Moving.
Yeah,
Well, how do I
let's
top
move on.
that? My name is Stephen, 19 years of age, also home educated. A little bit of a different path I took. Well, not different, but went to college, did 2 years of sports and fitness. Same as Joseph, just navigating into the realms of meeting new people and kind of struggling with the maths and English at first, not just having done that as much as most people would. But other than that, finding sort of like the physical side of it easy and drawing towards that side and stuff, and meeting friends who are also really sporty, and like it happened to be kind of like not the English kind of, for lack of a better words, kind of like chavs is what I would call them. So I was drawn to I've always just sort of real people, genuine people, and for some reason that was the Spanish people, the Bulgarian people, the Italian people. Those were my three. And that's how it was. That's how it was. I look back and now, like, there's no other way to put it other than that. That's what happened. And I think every time I've had a problem with someone, it's been like an English person, because Cade wasn't exactly English either. Cade is my best mate.
So you're saying
From
you don't like
Canada.
English people?
All of our viewers are English.
Yeah. We're trying not to alienate people here, dude. So.
No, obviously I've had lots of English friends and girlfriends that were English as well. We don't discriminate.
Oh,
Just
slow down, Tiger.
hey. Lost my train of thought. Did that. Didn't pass my maths and English. Should have trained harder. And also level 3 got cancelled, which threw a massive spanner in my work. I was currently living with Dad because altercations with the mum due to not washing up. Long story short, kind of got kicked out. Kind of she'll say it differently. Didn't get kicked out, but
Personal vendetta.
But, yeah.
Moving
swiftly on. Yeah. Well, bullet points. No job at the moment.
Bullet points.
Trying to be a rapper, bodybuilder / comedian.
Okay.
That's it.
So you can just put aspiring before all of those things.
Yeah.
Oh right, okay. As you can tell, we're not experienced podcastees, so we're not
Bring
really
yourself
getting the
down,
balance right.
No, but
We've got to just don't bring yourself down. Why bring yourself down, bro? Why didn't you say that?
yeah. I don't think we're gonna do
We're great on podcast, mate.
Come on, bro.
We're raw. We're
Nah,
real.
we weren't
and
we're
we're
gonna
authentic.
be
It's
Joe
true,
Rogan.
it's true,
It's
true.
like
It's
first
true. It's a
time.
it was a derogatory self thing.
Gotta get rid of that negative dialogue.
No,
Yeah.
it's deflecting humour. It's deflecting humour, you know.
Interesting.
Do you know more about deflecting humour? About
Deep.
what do you know about?
Yeah, it's obviously to cover up some level of feeling of inadequacy, and well, that is actually really interesting because I was just
Funny you
thinking
said
about
that, because I
a lot.
thought
Well, a lot
Sorry.
of things. No, a lot of the things that I actually get limited by are my own beliefs that I can't actually do something. So part of doing this podcast is just getting on and doing stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I do, you know, because of being quite a perfectionist, you know, it's like sometimes you get limited by not actually what your abilities are, but actually what you believe yourself to be able to do, you know. And I do get that a lot, actually. So yeah, interesting.
How does that play out specifically?
It's the old famous.
Well, it's like
Saying,
starting projects and doing projects, and you know, like starting things and then not completing them, you know, would be one of the main things. And sort of always, even when I do something good, feeling that I'm not good enough, which I'm sure a lot of people can actually relate to, which is like, you know, you start and you do something and you're like, maybe you're not the best at it, but you're doing it to a fine level, you know. And it's like, it's almost impossible to be the best at something. So there's always be somebody who is deemed to be better, but you just do the best that you can, right? Everyone talks about that, but yeah, I just need to get over that, really.
Yeah, I don't get on board with the thinking of like better or worse. That's one of my core kind of like beliefs. Is it's very classic spiritual teaching. There's no good, there's no bad. There just is, and it's only for me. I know that I'm doing something good when I feel like rawness and like authenticity coming through, and then I've got my own stamp on it. So I might be saying the same words as everyone else, but it's got a little Joe Prakash stamp on it of like uniqueness.
Yeah.
Everyone's different.
And that's to me when I'm doing. That's when I feel like I'm doing good. Like I use the word good, but you know, I feel like I'm doing something worthwhile. To when I'm like, maybe if I'm not. So when I'm singing, for instance, if I'm enjoying it, then that's all that matters, right?
Yeah.
And then through that, if I'm enjoying dancing and singing or whatever I might be doing up on stage or whatever it is, other people enjoy it too. That's just like, I just really have noticed that like time and time again of no matter what you're doing, if you're enjoying it, other people are going to feed off your vibe. Like they call it osmosis, you know, like the energy that is transferred between humans. And that can take place in so many different forms, can't it? You know,
Well, if we placed all our basis of sort of like doing and our reasons, our motives to do stuff off the back of is it new, is it something that hasn't been done, no one would do anything. But the thing you're saying that might sound basic or just, you know, like not too complex will be the thing that person hasn't heard and will elevate, or just sort of they can learn something from that. So you might think, oh, you know, I'm not saying anything special here, but if they haven't heard it, to them that's super special. So you've always just got to try in every situation to back up yourself. Always sell yourself more than less, but it's easier said than
or you
done.
might just say it in a different way that they've never heard.
Me and Dad have loads of chats about this. It's like, as long as you can look at the man at the end of the day and be happy with that and be happy with you and literally just, and the women. What, the woman inside you? Or
and the woman. Yeah.
Just, and basically not put on a facade for other people, and just that standard stuff of like locating why you might be feeling inadequate and forgetting about all that materialistic stuff of like of being someone you're not for other people. It's always for other people as well. It's always a fake thing for other people, and you realise like the happiest you've ever been is when you're just not thinking about it, when you're not overthinking about it, when it's not, and actually like less is more.
Yeah, you're in a
with
flow
the
state. I
stimulus.
think that comes from being yourself, right? It comes from like knowing who you are and being yourself and being able to,
Yeah,
you know,
it's
you
a
find your
lifelong
little
thing.
unique quirks and your little things that you do, you know.
Speaking of quirks and unique things, I'd like to
We've
come
all
back
got
to
loads.
Jody where he says about home education, because I think good place we could talk about home education. Right? All four of us were home educated, and then all of us have subsequently gone into school or college environments afterwards. And as we're in this quarantine lockdown thing at the moment, everyone or a lot of people are having their kids at home and they have to home educate their kids through no will of their own.
Yeah.
So I thought we could go around and say a bit like how home education was for us,
and what's some things that we can maybe tell or share with some parents.
What
of,
we
like,
learned,
what
was
worked
bad,
and what
was
didn't.
pros
Yeah.
and cons and stuff.
Excerpt if needed. So subtitle. Tips for home education
Tips for home
during
education.
quarantine.
Yeah,
Ready?
yeah,
boom,
yeah.
boom, boom. Let's get it.
Who's
The
up?
first step is so simple, like let your kid be free. They need to be autonomous. We were all autonomous when we were home educated. We chose when we wanted to do studies. We chose what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
And you have to trust that kids know what's best for them. And that could be making a potion in the garden out of dirt and rocks and poo. But that's just another story for another time. Stephen!
Right.
What?
Let's not
I thought we
scare.
weren't discriminating.
Let's not scare them off before they even start.
Well, I am English.
We wanted to get into feeling their moment, so
Yeah, yeah.
let's get away from
That's
it.
the number one. That's the
Yeah.
first thing I would
the
say.
basis is
Let
autonomous.
them make a
Kids be
shitty potion in the
autonomous.
back of the garden and let them do it.
Number two.
I think on that autonomous thing though, it's important for the kids to guide and to know, you know, like for the parents to give resources to the kids and, you know, like let the kids choose what they want to learn. That's the key there, really, you know, because if they're actually passionate about something and they want to do something, you're going to have a much better time. It's going to be much easier.
More energy.
Yeah, more energy is going to be diverted from the kid into doing that project.
Yeah.
You know, so if they decide they really like science or maths or something like that, and the parent facilitates that, they're going to enjoy that so much more.
But we just read.
just forcing
a lot.
their hand,
We
isn't it?
Read
We
tons
just
of
read
yeah.
so much.
So that'd
And
be
Not so
my
much
point.
me.
Yeah, no.
Well, that'd be my point anyway. Is like reading and doing things that are going to spark like creativity and passion is really important. So that they're constantly learning, you know, because education is not just limited to curricular-based things. You know, it's actually education can be so many different things. You could learn from a fiction book, you know, and you could learn about the character that goes on a journey to find himself, and then suddenly you've learned some real life skills there. So education, and not just in the formal sense of it, I would say is another key. So don't believe that just because they're watching a film or reading a book or doing something that they're not learning, because they could be.
Yeah,
Definitely agree.
Learning
Yeah.
comes in many forms.
My
Too.
point was kind of
Same.
off that with like finding a hobby, find like something that you
Find
really
a
like to
hobby.
do, just like a new hobby, start from scratch, learn from scratch, learn how you learn best, and just
Learn
as
how you
much
learn
as-
best.
Learn to learn,
I like
man.
that.
I like
Yeah.
that.
Go
a lot.
deeper into that. Learn how you learn best.
just like what ways you learn. So there's different types of learning, or
I
like
think
how you learn best, or
kinesthetic-
how you
I think what you mean
Like-
is at
like
school,
viewing,
at school,
hearing, and stuff like that. Or just if you need to write notes, if that helped you. So like pause whatever you're doing, write notes about it, bullet points, so it
acronyms
like in your
to
memory.
remember, stuff
yeah,
like that.
focus on an
lines,
image that
yeah.
comes with that like story that you've thought of, or
Mm.
whatever you're doing. Yeah, there's loads of information out there. Just look it up and you'll find whatever you want to learn with the hobby. But then also you can like do a schedule with that. It's good to schedule your time sometimes. So like make sure you get that in a day, because the days can just go by very quickly if you don't focus on what's actually like important in this time and like do it. So just knuckle down and do it whenever you have free time, which will be quite a lot of the day probably.
At the
If you're
moment, yeah.
home all
I
day.
think so.
So
Yeah, I think that is actually really
Blessing and a
important.
curse,
though.
isn't it?
I think that's really
Correct.
important during this time is that like you have some sort of structure, because otherwise your days will just pass you like that.
Yeah.
I think we've all experienced that.
I think we
You
can
know.
find the balance there as well, though, because like sometimes the structure totally destroys spontaneity.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think you gotta find like the different things.
but
about
when
it.
I-
I don't know.
This is where
because
I'm at the moment. Is
It
how
depends.
I balance the structure with the spontaneity.
It can go two ways with that, because I feel like if you have a structure, sometimes if you've got an hour or two free, you then start to think what you can cram in that time. Whereas my problem has been I've got the whole day to do it, so I just put it off and put it off and put it off, and I don't think there's my slot. Bang that out then.
Bang that out.
And get it on. Also, what I was going to say about the home educating
Yeah.
stuff is Jodie's like, in school they teach you to learn the same way and stuff. So tricks for being at home is just completely throw all that out the window. And like you say with like the autonomy thing, let them climb a tree, let them go do that. So then in the future when they get into that situation, they're ready to think on their own. Because my problem with the world nowadays is too much spoon-fed kids, just clones and sheep, and when they get into a situation where they have to think for themselves, they're not ready to do that at all, or they expect their parents to get them a job, or it's just entitlement. And don't get me wrong, home education is not perfect, far from it. Like you have to relearn how to socialize, what you're thinking, you spend a lot of time on your own, but the things you do come through with is a sense of you can do it on your own. You can do a lot more on your own, and it's going to be hard, but I wouldn't say, well, I don't think all of us would be like, we wouldn't be the people we are today, whether that's good or bad.
100%. I think we can all agree
without
the home
that.
education has crafted us into the people we are today.
For sure.
Now, whether that's a good or a bad thing, I guess you'll be able to say.
There is no good or bad.
Oh,
I'm the spiritual
That's
guy.
a nice blanket thing to fluffing up everything. Like we're not just like there is good and bad.
Have you ever seen Kung Fu Panda? Come on, guys. I watched it the other day. I introduced Kung Fu Panda to my girlfriend. And she said, right, get this. If you know Kung Fu Panda, get this. She said, oh, I don't want to watch that. That sounds like a bit of a kid's cartoon. And I just looked at her like, you have no idea.
Oh no!
And so I got
That is
sat
what
down.
I model my life on. Kung Fu
I got
Panda.
her sat down anyway. It's fair to say it blew her mind anyway. So
Yeah.
She
So
said
take
she felt
them-
enlightened the next day.
Disney.
And what I was going to say is there's a guy
Disney
in there.
throwing in them bombs always, aren't they? They always do that. The little nuggets of wisdom.
There's a guy in there called Master Oogway, who's the ancient old wise turtle, and he has a great moment in the film where Master Shifu is like sort of this. He's a high up master, but not quite as like wise as Master Oogway.
There's something about this Master Oogway.
Master Oogway is an absolute
Power.
boss. Master Shifu comes up. He's still kind of chained to his ego a bit. He's trying to make things work in the material world. You know, Master Oogway has transcended the whole shebang.
He's all about it.
And Master Shifu comes up. Oh, we've got terrible news. Master Oogway says, "There is no good news or bad news. There is just news." And Master Shifu says, Tai Lung, this great baddie, has escaped from prison and he's heading to the villages now. And Master Oogway says, oh, that is bad news.
That's actually funny.
So now you've watched the movie.
Yeah.
I could transcript the whole movie if you
Oh,
want. That's the next podcast. For those who want to
pause
listen to
movie,
it.
tip number one, go and watch
I
Kung
knew
Fu
a lad
Panda
who
with the
could-
kids because it'll teach you a lot, like we say about life. You know?
Yeah.
I knew someone who could recite the entire B movie. He could just do it. The whole movie.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
The top-
Now that's the level of dedication. If you think that into other aspects of your life.
I want to meet that guy.
If you were. Oh, it was mad.
So let's go, as you were saying about the home education thing. I think I teach parkour, and I liked what Steve was saying there. You know, like let's not try and bubble wrap the world for these kids and make it soft and gentle. Because in my parkour classes, I probably would get frowned upon by a lot of the other parkour coaches because there's a certain level of danger that I just allow in the class, and I think it's absolutely essential to have that danger in the class, because those moments when I've been in the most danger, like doing a jump or something like that, have been the moments of like total learning and just like freedom and power and all the good stuff.
Flow
Come in those moments.
Flow state.
It's the balance, flow state. Balance of risk, the balance of the risk with the sense of fulfillment. And you've got to weigh that up. Like, how likely is it that your kids, if they climb a tree, you know, are going to really badly injure themselves? We were always taught never help each other up the trees because you might not be able to get down.
Yeah.
If you can climb up a tree, you can climb down.
Yeah.
You have to trust the kids.
Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure. Yeah, that's a really good point. And we could do a whole podcast, and probably should do, and will do, about flow state and different things and the mechanisms of it and everything. But I think it is important to experience that, to have something that you can experience flow state in. And home education does facilitate that quite nicely, because there's a lot of things that you'll do that are outside of the box, let's say, like parkour, like, tricking, doing freestyle breakdancing, all these sort of things. They're going to push you beyond that limit, and that's really important. So another thing you could add to your kids' schedule is doing something that takes them a little bit out of their comfort zone. That's really important.
I think another tip as well is like connection. Connect with your kids again. So just watch a movie with them, cuddle up on the sofa all together as a big family, and just enjoy the time where you're all at home together, enjoying each other's company as much as you can. Yeah.
A bit like we were saying on the walk, was like, if you can only love your kids when you see them on the weekends or in the evenings of sending them to school, that's not love. That's being able to tolerate them for a certain amount of time. You have to be able to love them when you're hating them, when they're annoying when they're annoying you. And like, I saw a video today, and it was like, this is the thing I'm the most scared about quarantine, is parents like this, and this dad has his kid holding him up by the head, and he's like, I could pop your head. I could full on pop your head, and then drops the kid, walks off, kid starts crying, and then that's the end of the video. But that's scary to think, like,
because you've got to understand the parents. You've got to understand where the parents are coming from, man. Like,
it's the done thing.
We were crazy as kids, like 4 boys just sprinting around, and Mum was at her wit's end with us, and we have to find empathy and understanding for the parents as well, to just understand how hard it must be if you've been working in a certain. What I was thinking, I was teaching yoga the other day, and I was imagining, like, we've all had this momentum in our lives as if we were big ships, our body being this vessel that has carried us, and we've got this momentum in our lives that we've been building up for many, many years. It's almost like the quarantine has come in and just been like a wall. And so the ship is kind of going to crash into the wall, and all that momentum, everything that we thought was kind of really important, has just kind of got shipwrecked.
It's a big news flash for everyone,
hasn't it?
It's a big, kind of feels like a big sign from the universe, saying, a bit like when people were saying, oh, Trump was just a big sign, to just be like, this is so contradictory, no one could ignore it, so bang, here you are, you can't ignore it.
Yeah.
So it's like, does feel like powers that be just saying, look guys, change.
Yeah,
and we're going to make it change, like the environment, the birds start chirping again, the ozone clearing up, everything like that. There are silver linings with everything.
Yeah, there's a ridiculous amount of like good things that have actually come out of this, as well as all the bad. But it's forced people into a state that they've never been in before, and it's forcing adaptation. And adaptation creates growth. So you never know, right? Like, we can only just try and make the best of it and get the positives, but it's a bit of a crazy situation.
And in this craziness, I think like a key point is, if you've got your kids at home, you need screen time restrictions. We were given 1 hour a day for when we were home educated, and again, if I had been given free reign on the iPads and the computers and the screens, definitely wouldn't be the person I am today. Yeah. And I wouldn't have learned how to play guitar. I wouldn't have learned parkour. I wouldn't have learned how to juggle, because we were allowed to be bored. Let's say, lads.
Yeah.
We got very bored.
We were very bored. We
From
weren't just
that
allowed
place,
to be bored.
We got bored.
We got bored.
Like, phenomenally bored.
We went through everything.
So bored that I was lying in bed one time, staring at the roof, just wondering when it would end. But there is a positive silver lining in that. Trauma just splitting out there. Yeah. There's a silver lining in that, because from that boredom, then creativity is sparked. Because you're like, I've got nothing to lose now, so I'm gonna go out and do something spontaneous, something creative.
Yeah. Well, we see a bit of pain as just a negative. Most people see it as a negative thing, even that boredom, but I don't, because you'll take that and you'll be like, oh look, I can handle that. So then when something else comes and it tries to rock your world, you've taken enough pain, you've taken enough days in that state, and you're like, it's not too bad in comparison. It's not too bad. It's like what Rob speaks about, or what me and Rob both share is like after a leg day, I'm pretty sure you feel like you can take on any menial like sort of intellectual task because you beasted out a leg day, and you just like everything else that pales in comparison. Like if I do a leg day early, I literally just sit back and I think, now the day is my oyster. Before, I'd be like, when am I going to fit that in? When am I going to fit that in? If you smash that thing off, your go-to sort of job in a way for the day, if you don't have a job, like you treat that as like the thing to do in the day, and then the rest of your day you can experiment, you can be free, you can be lazy, you can sit back, you can do what you want. So it's basically about cheating life and finding out how you work optimally and how you can structure your day in a way that works for you.
It's like
With the home
what doesn't kill
education
you
thing.
makes you stronger, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Hit the big
Always.
challenge first, and then
Hit the big
everything else
challenge
is a bit
first.
smaller.
Yeah, because you could say I could do that later, but if you do it earlier, the stuff you do after that's going to be better with a clearer mind. So
For sure.
I think it's just about timing. Timing is a massive thing for me.
Anything else to say to home educating parents? There's a
Even
lot of
though
them.
you can wake up super late in the day, it's been really negative for me personally going to bed super late. And I've done that quarantine or not because I've been able to without a job, but I would imagine a lot of people I've seen that would have to get up for school have just been like up till like 5 in the morning and stuff, and I'm sure that can't be good for the nation to be changing their like sleep schedules that drastically.
It doesn't go with the circadian rhythm as well.
Arcadian.
Circadian.
Carcadian.
Circadian.
Whoa, okay.
Oh,
now we got a big
We got
debate
some
in my
ideas
head.
flowing in now.
I thought it was
No,
the
it's
palladium.
Accordion.
If I had an accordion just then.
Vibranium. It doesn't go with the vibranium.
I think we
rhythm.
need to discuss this over some kombucha.
You can't go with the combo.
Go and get the sage lit up.
Your
again.
circadian rhythm basically dictating that you should go to
Circadian.
sleep when the sun goes down. You should
sun goes
wake
down.
up when
Yeah,
it comes
yeah.
up, because that's how we would naturally woken up and together at times, you know. But again, that's
We could have a discussion about that. About
Yeah.
everyone
We
sort
can.
of says, just because we used to do it as a caveman, this is the way we should do it. You know, that's what people say about veganism, about like religion.
necessarily.
Well,
I'm
no,
not
lots of
getting
people do. Lots
Yeah,
of
but
people do.
vegan-
So here's some
So
topics
how-
we'll be covering
how
on future
often-
podcasts.
how often do you
Yeah.
hear?
Steve's going to reel off a few
How
topics.
often do you hear
We're
people
covering on
say?
future podcasts.
How often do you hear people say,
talking about
"Oh,
men.
this is why we like women, the hourglass physique," because as cavemen that would indicate big birthing hits. We still have these like ideologies today, don't we? We
Well,
still
not
implement
ideologies,
these
they're inbuilt.
primal things, yeah.
Right.
But we don't build our houses the same way, do we? You know, we change, we adapt.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that our brain chemistry necessarily adapts to that.
It will eventually, won't it?
It adapts as
think.
we grow older, I guess, but not from
Like,
the
Mum was-
point of birth.
Mum was telling me how like there's that stage, and the next stage is like predicted to be like the cyborg stage, where we're all meshed with like gene splicing and like Elon Musk,
That's
AI, and, like we've all got like
Yeah.
Let's not get too far off.
Yeah, we were on the
But
we were on
like-
like what you can do in
No,
this time
but-
of boredom
Let's
or
bring it back to-
quarantine.
what's
shall we
human
recap
and
the
what's
tips?
not,
So-
I guess is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
let's go
What's
back
your
over the
caches?
tips and let's wrap it up for today,
Yeah.
because this has been a good one. We don't
Yeah.
want
You don't want to over.
to chat nonsense for too much longer.
No, yeah. So as a recap, like
Here we go.
let your kids have
Already crossed-
autonomy and
crossed that line.
let your kids have autonomy and freedom, and
Let them be bored.
let them be bored, because that's where creativity will come in that open space.
Inspire them to do like a new hobby, find something that they want to do like every day, which can keep them doing something like creative or just doing something.
For sure.
Yeah. Spend time with
have a
them.
laugh with them, man. You
Yeah.
get to see your kids more.
Connect to your own inner child.
Have a laugh, connect to your
Play with them,
Yeah.
play with them, sit with them, watch
Mm.
movies with them.
Learn in multiple different ways, and like be willing to learn in different ways and from different sources and source material.
Have an hour of screen time a day.
Yeah, screen time, restrict the screen time, because otherwise that will go.
Because it's
Completely.
an absolute. It may look like they're doing positive things as well. Like even if we used to play the maths games like hardcore, like because they were letting us be on the screen. Mum would let us go on the screens more long,
So we would play the hell out
Oh
of
my god.
like maths
Can
games,
you
just so we
remember?
could be in
Can
front of the
you
screen. We weren't even learning anything, so we'd be careful of that.
It made
That
it
is a
more
trick.
valuable.
Yeah, be
It
careful.
made it more valuable though, I'll give it that. Because do you remember if, say, you couldn't find a game for a bit and the Wi-Fi, you become a lawyer and you'd be like, no mum, that doesn't count because the internet didn't work for that much seconds, so I still have 15 minutes extra. This, that, etc, etc.
Yeah, that's true.
You would really fight for it, but now it's just like, if it's so available.
Yeah, that's
Learn
another
how to
point.
hustle.
It is hard.
It's not fun anymore, it's just...
It's hard work to hold these boundaries for the kids. It's hard work. You may have to absolutely fight with them because they'll be like
It's
how
an
we were.
addiction, it's an
We were
addiction.
like just our eyes would go glazed and we just have to get that controller and start playing the FIFA or
Come down late to do
Yeah,
it.
it's definitely
Ancient
addictive. It's
mythology,
addictive
it's
stuff, right? So
addictive.
you have to have boundaries. And you have to not be afraid to get into some constructive confrontation with your kids, you know, and make sure that it's done. But also don't do it in a way where it's just like letting emotions get control of everything. You have to be able to logically debate with your kids and give them freedom and give them room to work through things together, you know.
Yeah.
Any more top tips for home education and dealing with quarantine? I think we covered most of it, right?
Yeah.
if you take this time and really see how it works for you, and then decide after all this is out. I looked at a thing this morning, a little video, and she was saying like, no matter what you think, we got to get real now, and things are never going to be the same again. There's no chance, no chance that things are ever going to be the same again after this.
Yeah.
So have a good think. Maybe after this, you'll have realised actually how simple home education can be if you just allow the process, allow the flow to happen, and not try to take too much control on the kids. And then check and see. Perhaps you'll home educate them after this, and that would be something that I would actually feel very passionate about. Like, school is a really intense and can be an extremely negative environment for kids. They're just sitting in these horrible chairs, and they're forced to learn this stuff that they may never ever use again.
With awful hierarchies and tons of bullying constantly.
Caged walls around them.
So what you're saying is to use this energy to break traditions, break habits, you know, break the old additives or ways of...
Figure out what you really want.
Quote,
Yeah,
yes.
great.
Figure out what you really want.
School.
We got a quote.
Quote time.
Quote.
And on that bombshell...
Say that again in Morgan Freeman's voice.
I can't remember what I said. The old attitudes. Use this energy redemption. And be new afraid. I play the god.
No, but on a serious note, you know, it is a good chance to really connect with everything and to change patterns, and at the very least you'll come away with like some new ways of dealing with certain situations and things, and you can, have some little creative ideas, and, you're growing and getting towards a higher and I'm going to say better place where you're more aware and more conscious, and we can use this time for good. And I appreciate we talked a load of nonsense, but hopefully there's some good messages in here as well.
Mate, that negative talk coming in again.
I was about to say, I thought
you listen back to this. We've talked some nonsense.
I was
trust me.
about to say,
It's fine. Yeah,
If
it's
you
not
get to
negative.
this far, then well done.
Yeah, if you get this
I
far,
was about to say,
you're
I thought
fast.
we smashed the balance, actually.
Yeah, me too.
I thought I was going to say
I thought
that
it was
made our
really-
personalities come across just enough to hopefully be like enticing, but then also give some good stuff. Like without the silly stuff, it would just be like stuff most people
Yeah.
could tell you.
I guess
You
our
know?
3 viewers can. I guess our 3 viewers can tell us.
We might even get one more.
You might even share it with your friends, and we'll get 4 viewers next week. That would be an achievement.
Goal for the end of quarantine is to get 10 whole viewers.
Don't get too excited now. No, honestly,
Yeah.
from the 4 bros, Rob
Joseph.
Joe Pugash.
Steve-O.
signing off. Stay safe, guys.
Stay classy, Ron
Yeah.
Burgundy.
Stay classy.
Don't stay safe. Stay dangerous.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Don't stay safe.
Sounds
Stay.
cool.
Don't stay too safe. Stay
Resets.
We should have wrapped it up with that.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Right, on 3, boys.
1,
2,
2, 3.
Capacita.
Right.
Load of
Let's
bollocks.
put that one in the trash can.